Our topic this morning deals with weather and climate. Now, weather is the condition of the atmosphere in a certain place at a certain time. That's what weather conditions are. Climatic conditions, however, climate is a study of the atmosphere over a long period of time, years and years, before we can determine what the climatic condition of an area is. A large area, unlike weather condition, which is in small localities, climate describes the condition in large areas. Now, a climate is not easily changed unless something very dramatic happens. And you could ask, how is it that a dry area is supposed to have a climate where it rarely rains, but then rain falls? But on those days when you have rainfall, you're looking at the weather condition for those days, not the general climatic condition. It still remains dry as a general rule. And your climate can determine so many things, as does your weather, but just the weather in just your locality. Your climate can determine where you live. It will determine what kind of clothing you wear. It will determine what kind of housing you need to survive those types of climatic conditions. It will also determine what kind of animals can live there, and very importantly, what kind of food can be grown there or had there. So determining your climatic condition is really very important to survival. And there are 5 major climatic zones in the world, even though there are some subcategories of those zones. And we have the desert zone, which is a climate that is very dry, with very little rainfall, extreme temperatures, and very little plant or animal life. Some, but not a lot. Then there's a Mediterranean climate that has hot, dry summers, but cool, wet winters. Then there are temperate climates where it is warm and cold, and there is rain throughout the year. But the warmth and the cold, they're not extremes. They're bearable, and they're interchangeable. Then we have the polar climate, which is very, very cold temperatures and very little precipitation or very little rainfall. And then in the mountainous areas, the temperatures decrease with altitude, and many of the peaks are covered in snow. And mountains usually carry very windy and wet conditions. So, what kind of impact do humans have on climate? There are some forces that are in play here. Humans will have an impact by building large cities and cutting down many trees and just changing the whole atmospheric condition. Places like the rainforest, which is a subcategory, that the climate, it's normally wet and hot, humid. That could change if you cut down all the trees. And then the animals that live there would be impacted, and whatever trees that grow medicines and food for consumption purposes, those would also be impacted. Another thing that could impact the climate is volcanic eruptions. So there are lots of forces at work to determine what the climatic conditions would be. But remember, these are changes that will happen over a long period of time. Now, the hottest place, just a few facts, the hottest place on earth is the Danakil Depression in Ethiopia, where the average temperature is 93 degrees Fahrenheit. The coldest place is in Antarctica, where the average temperature is minus 70.1 degrees Fahrenheit. The wettest place is in Assam in India, and that gets over 467 inches of rain a year, while the driest place on earth is the Atacama Desert in Chile, which gets almost no rainfall in 1 year. So you see, it is very important to understand our weather and climatic conditions and know why is it that we dress the way we dress, eat the foods that we eat, interact with the animals that we can, and the plants that are growing around us, the trees and so on. Why is it that they're in our area? So maybe we could think about these things. Maybe when we're taking a nature walk, we could